with our MiWeek contributors, Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson of WDET Radio. You know, I should have brought like a bowl of popcorn, a thing of bourbon.
You should always do that.
I had that
exactly.
Tuesday night.
Put our feet up and talk about this. There was a lot coming out of the primary, and the one thing that it was amazing to see was the turnout. Over 2 million votes cast. Yeah. I was at my polling place, which had a pretty good turnout, and I actually saw an 18-year-old neighbor of mine vote for the first time. Which I thought was pretty cool in a primary election.
Cool.
All right, so the biggest takeaway from Tuesday night for you on a global sense, Nolan?
Well, clearly it's the fact that people are engaged, and I think they're engaged on both sides of the aisle. You saw a strong Democratic turnout, but you also saw a strong Republican turnout that pretty much matched their makeup of the Michigan population.
Right.
People are fired up and are going to vote this time.
What do you think in terms of, we saw the numbers, we saw Democrats coming out maybe a little bit more than the Republicans did.
A little bit more than the Republicans, but
there are more of them in the state.
But there are more registered Democrats in the state. You know, I've said this before, that it's weird to sort of contemplate that one of the effects that Donald Trump has had on the political culture and process in this country is more engagement. People are more concerned, I think, about the direction of government in the country than they were before. And I think a lot of that is attributable to his surprising win and the things that he's said and done since then that have sort of incited not just the left, but also the right. I mean, think of how energized people who support the president are now. That doesn't mean he's overall a good person or is having a good effect on our country.
Yeah, but he's making people pay attention and think that they're very invested in what decisions are being made. It's interesting, Nolan, when you look at all the national papers as well, when they looked at Michigan on Tuesday night, you saw a variety of storylines coming out.
Oh, I mean, there's no question about it. The number of women who were elected was simply amazing. The number of women who were actually on the ballot. You have a congressional district where 2 women will be facing off. I think that's for the first time I can ever remember. And two viable candidates. That 11th district's a toss-up. I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but you've got a Democratic ticket that is going to be, at this point, all female. Yeah. And I don't know that we've seen that in a long time.
They're also talking about, in terms when they call it the year of the woman or the pink wave, they're looking at also the number of female candidates for governor across the nation is the largest that we've had. There's 11 candidates right now, including here in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is not just the number of candidates, it's the number of wins that's also making this the year of the woman. There are not a lot of races where you see women losing to men. And if you think about our primary results, it wasn't just Gretchen Whitmer, but someone like Haley Stevens, who beat Tim Grimal.
That was surprising.
A very well-known
established
name,
Democrat.
Right? Rashida Tlaib, bettering Bill Wild and Ian Conyers and Coleman Young in the 13th. It's the winning that I think is cementing that moniker for this year.
I think what's going to be very interesting, though, as we now go through these next couple of months, is how these female candidates are going to be judged. Because we know, and you look at ad literature, when you look at people, they say, well, is she coming across too hard? Is she coming across too nice? That is sometimes the problem when people judge female candidates, and whether it's conscious or it's an unconscious judgment on people's part. Women who are running for office get judged in a bit of a different way than male candidates do. Yeah,
they do, and that's part of the double standards that make up the fabric of this country, and it's not the only double standard, obviously. I think what's different this time and this year is partially the reaction to the things that we've seen happen in the past year that have to do with women's issues and gender issues. That has women motivated, and let's be honest, women are the majority of the population. If they decided to vote en masse and to vote their gender interest above everything else, you would see a majority of politicians be women. I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that. I think you can pay attention to something like that and also be caring about the issues.
Well, exactly. And I'm not going to say that every woman's like, well, I'm just going to vote for her just because she's a woman. I think that people are very savvy enough to know that they want to vote for someone who's going to advance their interests, whether it's a man or a woman, and what they stand for. Nolan?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think as they campaign, I mean, there's another side of that too. Women can't hide behind their own skirts. They've got to understand the political world. You become a political candidate, you look at what we went through in the governor's race, it gets dirty and it gets vicious, whether you're a man or a woman. I have never seen a primary campaign.
On the Republican side, yeah.
Even, yeah, on the Republican side mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the nastiest thing I've ever seen, and they were all men.
I will have to say, though, that any of the women who are running right now are not going to be hiding behind their own skirts, because to even get to this point, to say, I'm going to run, I'm going to raise the money, I'm going to get out there and put yourself out there, that's already such a hard
But every
place to get.
criticism of everything they do or everything they stand for isn't about their sex. And I think we've got to, as we get into this campaign where you've got almost an equal number of men and women running, they've got to be judged on their positions and their issues. They got to take the heat as well. I mean,
All
you got to
right,
be able
so
to stand up to
let's
that.
go ahead and go.